I'm so sorry. Let my guest clap. I'm so selfish. Okay.
Oh, yeah. You know what time it is. It's time to get a little Fronky up in here. This is Let Me Be Fronk.
It's time to get funky. We're all getting funky. It's time for Alyssa Fronk. Alyssa Fronk.
Okay.
Hi, welcome back to Let Me Be Fronk. I'm your host, Alyssa.
Let me be Fronk.
I am honored to have this dear friend as the first guest on Let Me Be Fronk. She's an American-born, Jamaican-Nigerian, Togolese millennial creator known for her joyful spirit, being The View's #1 fan, and her gift of connection. Over the past 10 years, she has worked in media and tech across the offices of Twitter, Now This, Meta, and NBC. In 2023, she earned over 3 million views on social for sharing insightful travel tips and exploiting her father for the joy of the internet, as she likes to put it. When she's not traveling, you can find her producing short-form videos, biking around, consuming arts of all kinds, and championing the Black community. Please welcome to Let Me Be Fronk, my friend Foluké.
What an intro.
Thanks, I read it myself.
You did.
And you helped.
I love it. I feel
Okay.
like, who is she?
But those were all facts.
I mean, facts, no printer. I was just waiting for you to be like, her body's tea.
I can go back and
No,
put
it's
that in. Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Foluké, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Foluké has always encouraged me to do a project of sorts like this. Oh, okay, Mooney appearance. This is my cat Mooney. This is my co-host. Hey girl.
Hi,
Love
Mooney.
you. Foluké has always been a huge supporter of my weird creative projects. She has always encouraged me to do more in front of camera facing stuff. It only felt right to have you as one of my first guests. There's actually a cool story behind that of why I wanted you to be the first guest. I'm going to tell it right now if that's okay. Let's rewind to the year 2018. It's November. I'm in Soho. 6 months fresh to the city. I just landed my first New York City based job in media, which is a dream come true. Just a little girl from North Carolina. And as I'm exiting the subway, I run into a friendly face on the street. And she introduces herself to me. She's like, "Hi, I'm Foluké. Are you headed towards the Now This office?" I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember the exact conversation. And I was like, "Yeah, I am." Turns out we were starting at Now This on the same exact day, November 26, 2018. I remember the day.
Wow.
And we were wearing the same outfit,
Same outfit.
same blazer,
Same
same black
blazer.
top, black boots.
Black on top, black on bottom.
Yeah.
Plaid-ish.
Yeah.
Blazer. Rode the same train.
We did. She saw me on the train. I did not see her because I thought I was going to puke. And I was 2 in my head. Mm-hmm. But you clocked me.
I clocked you because I am the type of person, which is not the type of person you are, so maybe it was the tragedy of your day, but it was a highlight of mine, which is when I leave my house, I get excited when I see somebody wearing the same outfit as me because it means that I did something right.
So you're telling me that you seeing me on the subway and we're wearing the same outfit made you excited, and then
Yes.
lo and behold, we were starting at the
And
same
then you were
company
like
at the
in
same
the
day.
lobby of the place I was going, and the next thing I know, you were sitting next to me signing your HR
I have full body
paperwork next
chills.
to me.
I have full body chills. That's incredible.
To this day, you're still in my phone as first day twin, FDT.
I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry on my own podcast.
And here we are on the first day of your podcast.
It felt like a good omen. That's why I wanted it to be full circle. You've always wanted me to do this, so I knew you would be on board and excited. When we went to dinner a few weeks ago and I asked you to be the first guest on the show, she screamed so loud in the restaurant people looked. And I loved it. I wasn't even embarrassed for a second. I felt supported and loved.
I left my body.
You were like, no.
Yeah, I did. I
You're
felt bad because I was screaming no, but I was saying yes. The translation was yes, I'm honored. And
Even though
more
she
so that
screamed
you're
no 10 times.
Yes, that you're doing this creative venture and I want to support you in it.
Yeah.
And I can't believe that you want me to be your first guest. It's just so outrageously kind of generous. But
It was a no-brainer.
I am a longtime champion of the Black community, but I'm a longtime champion of Fronk supremacy. Like a
Okay.
longtime supporter,
supremacy.
first time listener. I really just I support
shy.
those who are most underrepresented, but ultimately I just want the greatness for humanity, and you're such a gift to the world. So how can I not support you?
Friend. I feel the same way about you, but thank you for saying that. And I was laughing so hard at your reaction because the way you were reacting was as if I told you I was pregnant or like something. You were just like, no. It was so funny. All the people turning around looking, I was like, I don't even care. They couldn't understand this if they tried. But here we are now. First day buddies since almost 6 years ago. Is when I've
Was that really 6 years ago?
it's 5.5. Honestly, I was so nervous going into that day, and I was also dealing with some health stuff, so lost in my head. And having that conversation with you on the street and being like, oh, I'm with this friendly person, it disarmed me in the best way. I felt like a wave of calmness come over me. I at least have one friend. I'm gonna be okay. My hands are sweaty. I'm a sweaty girl.
For me, I went and I interviewed for the job, and I honestly, no shade, was not qualified. It was like a production job, and I had no production skills. I did not study journalism in school. I had a little bit of media experience, and I just sold myself on I have potential. I have potential to do this job, and I'm willing to learn. And now this was willing to give me that position despite me not being a one-to-one candidate. And the job where I was didn't want to hire me for that type of job or give me the experience to develop what I needed to get there. And so when I eventually asked the hiring manager why I was hired at Now This, she was like, well, I walked you out and you gave me a hug. And I just got a really good vibe. From you.
I'm not even making this up, the parallels between our stories. I interviewed on Halloween Day. I'll never forget it because there were people in my interview in costume, and I was like,
no.
Jamie was dressed as, shout out Jamie Joel, dressed as Robin Hood. With a full hat and everything.
For Jamie, though. He looks great in green.
He really do. There was a part of me that wanted to dress up and come in. I was like, it's an edgy move, you know, whatever. And they
I'm just imagining like you in the Mean Girls outfit.
I was gonna come as a goth and like kind of freak them out, but then I was like, you know what, Alyssa, like you really need a job. Pull it together. And then when they walked in the room, they're like, oh, we were hoping you would dress up. I could have done it. When I was leaving the building, me and Jamie went to do this and we're like, bye, profession. Like we lunged in to hug. And then weeks later, after I was hired and I started, he was like, not to be weird, but I really wanted to hug you. And I was like, I wanted to hug you.
It's weird to bring it up weeks later, but shout out to Jamie. He's a good
shout out to and he's not into the women's, like it wasn't predatory, it wasn't sexual. He just is a lovely, wonderful, warm human. And there was a connection
golden
there.
Retriever energy.
I think we have a very meet cute story, and look at us now. Still friends. I would argue we've grown much closer since now we don't work together.
You are a tremendous friend.
This is a love fest.
Love fest. And this is so unlike me. You lead with such vulnerability and you make space for other people to do the same. I think during the pandemic as well, we both lived alone.
Yeah.
And you were such an amazing support. And you often are like a beacon of self-compassion and self-improvement and self-celebration. And I welcome you in my circle because you are an inspiration to who I want to show up in the world to be. Unless she gets canceled, I don't know this woman.
That's fair. I'm blown away by your words as a words of affirmation girly. Thank you so much for saying that. I feel so likewise to you. Yeah, we both were living alone during the pandemic and we FaceTimed a lot. And those were great conversations.
I FaceTimed with you from the floor of my bathroom.
You did.
When, I don't know if I should say this on the podcast, but
we can cut if need be, but you can tell me.
No. But I had this man who was like, hey, I'll just come over for one day. And then like kind of lived with me for a couple months.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I was like, he's still here. I was coming from inside.
You were like,
enjoy
you were
it.
like,
enjoy it.
I know. I was like, girl, you're getting attention. Give us the genesis of Foluké. Where did you start and how did it lead to here?
That is a big
question. It is.
You know, sometimes I feel like I've just started living. Just did that like podcast thing, women on a podcast.
Yeah. I love that TikTok series.
Because if I don't set my standard, the standard won't be set.
Started as my ancestors' wildest dreams.
You are.
I am Maryland born to a gorgeous and brilliant British-born Nigerian Togolese woman. Scottish racist ancestry as well, but we redact that. And then a Kingston-born, Jamaica-born father. And I feel like so much of who I began my life to be was in the shadow of their image. And now I feel like the story of who I am is beginning. Even my nan was born, like I said, to a Scottish woman who had intercourse, if you will, with a Nigerian man. And when her mother found out that she had birthed these children and conducted herself in this manner, was like, you're not raising these black kids. So she became orphaned. She also lived through a world war, was raising a bevy of children, if you will, with limited resources in London. And still those children proved to be highly intellectual individuals who scored at the top of their class, but were still denied entrance to schools that would have helped them advance because they were black. So she said, you know, where y'all can't discriminate in Nigeria, where everybody is black, where everybody is African. I don't know how they were identifying. So that's where they went. I know that in some ways that feels like my nan's story, but I do also feel like it's my story, right?
Right.
She had such a need to survive and found ways in somewhat impossible circumstances to preserve her humanity, her joy, whatever that may look like, but also did not have the freedom or the inheritance emotionally, financially, and spiritually to provide in many ways, no shade to my family, or them to also have that freedom. I'm like a third culture kid, I guess they call it now. And they say first generation, though I feel like my parents are first generation American because they really are the American dream of coming to this country and working hard to make it in a place where they didn't know many people. Even though people are like, you're not really this and you're not really this. I am like, I'm not half anything. I'm not really anything. I'm fully everything. I'm fully American. I'm fully Nigerian. I'm fully Jamaican. I'm fully myself. I get to have an abundance mindset.
And who are they to say what you are?
Exactly. And so now I also want to be 100% who I am. I want to be 100% in line with my purpose and my values. And I don't know that was the narrative I heard growing up, to be frank. To be frank. It was more like, how do we show up to fit within the spaces that people have created for us? How do we excel despite challenges? How do we keep family business? And I would say that I'm grateful for that foundation. It's a lot of who I am. It's how I built my character. It's certainly how I have such admiration, especially for my mother. But now I find myself prioritizing other things.
It sounds like there was a lot of good in how you were raised and grew up. You're grateful for what you learned. You take the nutrients from the household you were raised in, and then when you're an adult, you kind of look around and we're like, what else do I need? What else do I need to reach my full potential, to be who I'm supposed to be, to really be the person I want to be? I would assume your family is extremely proud of you. I mean, what is not to be proud of?
Kind. I'm confident my mother still feels in some ways I'm a disappointment, and I've made peace with that. My dad can't stop speaking about me, obviously.
He's obsessed. We will loop back to that. Charming man.
I always joke that a huge song for me growing up that was transformative, besides the Reba theme song, was Lil Wayne's How to Love.
Okay, yeah.
And in the song illuminates how if you were not taught how to love, very difficult for you then to be able to give it generously and freely and truly and intentionally. And so I know deep in my soul that my mother is proud of me. My mother does love me. That just may not always be the way that she shows up in her presentation, in her mannerisms and her behaviors. And a lot of my journey was making peace with that, right? When you're a child, you don't have that language. You don't have that reference point. And so I'm like, what's wrong with me, right? And so how can I go harder, do more, be better as defined by our parents' definition of success? And now I realize that true success is being able to show up in that love. And give it back unconditionally to my parents. Absolutely. And let it overflow throughout me so that I can offer it to the world in a way that they can also flourish.
That's beautiful.
Thanks.
That's just a testament to your character and your big, beautiful heart, along with that big, beautiful brain.
Thanks.
What were you like as a child?
Little Luke's.
Little Luke's. That's so cute.
Shout out to Little Luke's. She was really quiet.
Really?
I know. I was very
Were you shy?
I was really shy.
Aww.
Very awkward. Spent a lot of time alone. Shout out to Senora Marina. We would play Uno a lot. But like my babysitter didn't speak English. So in some ways, Spanish was my first language. My mother was always working and providing for us, provided us a very beautiful life. But that meant that she wasn't always necessarily around. And like my brother hated me. He was like, who is this mutant who has come into our home? Yeah, I was really curious. Very quiet. I love the series of unfortunate events. That was my...
Same. You read every book?
Read every book.
You go to the movie theaters?
The day it dropped at Barnes & Nobles. There was one day I was going to soccer practice with my dad and was like, need this book. He was like, you score a goal, you get the book. First 3 minutes of the game, I not only score a goal, but I immediately run over to the sidelines, point to him, airing like I'm turning the page.
That is...
We stopped and got the book on the way home.
Funny. You meant business.
Stand on it. So into that series. I know I joked about my brother earlier, but I thought he was everything as a kid, obviously. Yeah. Like he was like, this is my twerpy sister. He wouldn't want me to come into his room and I would like lay outside the door.
That's so funny.
You know, we would get a video game, like we played Saints Row or whatever, and we would like sit on the bunk beds. And I was always naturally gifted at picking up a game quickly, but eventually he would eclipse me.
Got it.
We made videos. Like he was very into videography. He later came up with a company called Surviving Child, based on a quote that is like, the creative adult is the surviving child.
That's beautiful.
It's the person who's able to maintain and sustain the spark of imagination that we had.
I don't want to say it, but it sounds like y'all have some creative overlap.
We have some overlap. One thing about siblings is that no one else on this planet understands what you two have experienced.
Absolutely.
There is no one else on this planet I share 2 parents with. That in itself is a gift.
You have the same family.
Correct. And so there is also space for unconditional love, but also space for people to grow and experience. We share a lot, but his experience was also different than mine. And so I recognize he also has some healing to do, and he's showing up in the way that he can for himself. And part of that is allowing ourselves to find each other separately. I've always been like, I don't know, hopefully he accidentally gets somebody pregnant or on purpose or whatever, but Auntie Foluké is going to show up.
Yes, you are.
I think both my saving grace and a challenge for me is I deeply believe that if you judge somebody on their worst day, anybody can be a villain, including myself.
So true.
And I have been through so many iterations of myself. I've been through so many mindsets. I've evolved in many a way, even 7 times on one specific day.
Yeah.
And so I'm always looking for people who are willing to grow, and that doesn't mean having a fixed feeling towards anybody at any time.
You get it. You're a girl who gets it.
Yo no sé, pero that's what we out here.
Me and my sister talk about that all the time. Of all my siblings, we are the only 2 that share the same mom and dad. We have the same family. We're only 2 years apart. Of course, we had very different experiences growing up in the household, yet we had so many of the life events of our family. We went through that together. She's always been my constant, consistent person by my side. I don't know if you and your brother do this, but it's always nice to like have someone to kind of like sidebar, talk shit with. You just get it. You're going into a family function or something and you kind of just eye each other.
I define family often in how we show up and not by blood. I have a cousin that I call a brother cousin who I actually speak to every day, and
Cute.
I won't go to an event unless he's there, and we side eye and we sidebar from the group chat.
Aww.
Like, Auntie so and so.
Is that the one you just posted a dance video with?
We dance together. We do
He
improv
seems
dance
fun. I
together.
liked his energy.
He's
I was like,
very fun.
I want to
And
meet
we
him.
actually got closer as we got older. Actually, when
I
I
love
was at
that.
Now This, I had worked on a weekend and randomly got a day off during the week. And I was like, I need to get out of here. And I found a cheap ticket to San Francisco, and I knew that cousin lived there. I said, hey, can I come stay with you? And as adults, we were never that close. And as kids, he was always that cousin who was like in the room playing airplane video games. We had a couple different touch points if I was around, but didn't have our own relationship that we had sought after. And after that visit, we just realized we had so much in common. We've traveled the world together. We've cried together, laughed together, built together. And he is a blessing. And it's not that my brother isn't a blessing. It's just different. It's a different choice. And I also think our family is often the family we choose. I would also say that sometimes the people you grow up with and the family that you have, they cannot see you outside of how they knew you.
It's true, unfortunately.
And then you revert into an angsty teen.
Right.
So I'm the baby of the family. You can't tell my mother, my father, my brother, my sister that I am an adult. To them,
They're like,
I
"That's the baby."
am a baby. Constantly and forever.
That probably doesn't get annoying at all. Shout out to your cousin. He sounds perfect. He sounds like a perfect cousin.
Perfect angel. 2 of my fave cousins are both cousin T's. My sister cousin and my brother cousin.
I love
And they're on
that.
opposite sides of the family. But I've started to bring what we call the party cousins together across the
Party
globe.
cousins. I love that. You are a party cousin.
I am. I think back to your question is like as a kid, I think people thought I was a do-gooder, which I am a do-gooder. I'm such a good person. But she gets down, right?
She does. Foluké has a good time.
I have a good time, and when we talk about being more divergent with how people view you, especially when you're younger, I think that there's in show and in practice. I think when I was in my teens and my collegiate days, I was
Being an
grasping
all-star.
for the charade of being different from what they thought or making my own path. But sometimes by trying to be the opposite or different, you're not actually making your own choices until you really figure out what you value.
Yeah.
And so in coming back to myself has in some ways been coming back to how my mother and father show up in the world, which has been weird. Like, I'm like, as I get older, I'm like, ooh. And things make more sense to me as well. When it all changed was when I went to public school. I
Let's
started
hear
in
about it.
private school, and a lot of my...
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah. Why?
You're not gonna believe it. Same, but continue.
Is this the color of friendship?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're the same. I've actually never seen that movie, but I just think it's a wonderful comment I see consistently on social media. But yeah, I started in private school. A lot of my choices were like following just like in the footsteps of my older brother and like what his behavior dictated about going to Catholic school or Montessori school or whatever. So I went to public school and I came in. I was so quiet. I was so
What
polite.
grade did you transfer over?
3rd grade.
Wow.
Favorite grade of them all.
I like 3rd grade too.
3rd grade is an epic year.
It was fun.
It was fun. I had a teacher called Miss Ritchie. I don't know if she wanted to be name checked. Loved her. But at the end of the year, she was like, "You've changed." She was like, "You came in here and you were so polite and you were so kind and you were so quiet. And now you talk all the time." And I wanted to say, I'm a product of my bus. I'm a product of the people on my bus. And they have changed me.
You're going to die. My teacher's name, Miss Ray. Mrs. Ray. What is it? We have a lot of like parallels.
Ours.
Yeah.
Parallels.
She was one of my favorite teachers ever. Shout out. She's actually retiring this year. Mrs. Ray, I'm so proud of you. You were an amazing teacher.
Love. Miss Ritchie, if you're still alive, you rock.
Yeah. I hope all of our past really good teachers are doing well. And the ones who weren't good, we wish you well. In a diplomatic way. Yeah, regards. Okay, so you transferred over to public school, 3rd grade, and that's when everything changed. Sounds like you opened up, you blossomed more, became a chatty little Kathy, as they might say.
Chatty little Kathy, met some folks, started watching Gossip Girl before my time.
I was
also,
sneaking that. I was sneaking on the computer watching that one.
Greatly just influenced all of who I am today.
Please say Miley Cyrus.
Okay.
Okay,
Maybe we
I'm
don't have
so sorry.
Miley Cyrus has done more for me in the last 30 days than she has done for me in my childhood. Let's not be fake.
Your shotgun rider till the day I die. Smoke out the window, flying down the 405.
I'll be a backseat
Baby, I'm driving you crazy. Anytime you like, I'll be your shotgun rider till the day I die. Looping back to Cowboy Carter
She
shortly.
was singing with her whole The Climb throat.
Yeah.
Miss Cyrus.
They sounded great together. Like a real vocal team, those two. Anyways, who did it for you?
Miley has really come into her own as a woman.
Absolutely.
I will say, but that's a whole nother tangent. Raven Simone.
I'm so sorry for not saying that. Duh.
You can gaze into the future. Yeah. I might be a breeze.
Life is a sunny child on the distance. Yeah. Go Raven.
But I'm not that easy.
I hope Orlando Bloom is doing better.
We don't. It's just, we're going to let that one go. But 2 industries we should do better by. The entertainment industry and the education.
Yeah.
It's sad out here for them. Growing up super quiet, went to public school, was very much into everything. Was like the choir kid, the soccer kid, this kid, continued through high school, SGA president,
All-star.
sports, musical theater.
Foluké. Where did you start and how did it lead to here?
Born and raised in Maryland to, immigrant parents, as they like to say online. I was always super interested in extracurriculars. That was my thing. I let curiosity and interest in being outside of the house lead me. So I was like choir kid, musical theater kid, later got into gospel choir in college.
Yes.
I did sports. I love soccer. I was obsessed. I was like, I'm going to be on Team USA. My father came to this country on a soccer scholarship and played for the national Jamaica team.
Amazing.
So, like, he would be like, if I would run up the stairs in the house, he'd be like, on your tours. And I was like, got it.
When did the soccer dream die? No offense.
Soccer dream diminished.
Okay.
But still is a little bit alive. Call me.
I love that.
I'm willing to work. I was in a car accident going into middle school, and that was actually the year I was going to apply for ODK. Didn't really work out. I was on a travel team. They ended up kicking me off the travel team and, like, this other girl has more potential, they told my mother, despite me recovering from a broken hip and being
That
in a
is
wheelchair.
so shitty.
Yes. I wasn't able to get back to relative
That's
to
hard.
my peers. Being a soccer player was a huge part of my identity.
Mm-hmm.
It was a huge part of my identity. It was a huge and almost one of the only ways I bonded with my father. I started playing really early because, again, I was influenced by my brother and my father. So I would play with my brother's team. And
Oh, so you were good. You were playing the boys. That
I was
means
playing with the
that's
boys.
code for she was really good.
You know, I don't want to toot my own horn, but toot, you know, I was getting it. I was also looking at the Olympic development team. And when I broke my hip, fractured my pelvis, I wasn't able to get to that height again.
I hate that. I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry. You
The
know,
sport of soccer was robbed.
the sport of soccer was robbed.
They were.
But the world was not.
Facts.
There were other gifts that were meant to make way for my blessings. And that story also
Absolutely.
provides me an opportunity to be a blessing for other people.
Amen.
I would say spending a month in a hospital where you can't
Oh,
move is
God.
very humbling. That's where I got into So You Think You Can Dance. So I, a very tied to the bleeding love was like,
Leona Lewis.
I remember being in that hospital bed shaking. I was
that
like-
song, when it comes on to this day, entrances me
I
every time.
transcend.
Yeah.
I think of the performance on So You Think You Can Dance where the girl wore a vest. They did like a hip hop dance to this slow melodic song. And that's the moment I said, innovation is among us. Also the World Cup. And it was the first time I'd seen my mom in a crop top. She like visited me at the hospital in an Italy crop top. I remember a lot about being in the hospital. Now I'm going on a tangent, but like I was in DC. I could only call DC numbers. And I remembered my friend down the street like randomly had a 301 number. And I was like, hello, I'm in the hospital. Tell everyone.
How old were you again when this happened?
I was going into middle school. So I started middle school in a wheelchair. Thought it was going to be the news of the town. 2 other people also were starting in a wheelchair. People were like, is this a conspiracy? Theirs was like sports injury related. So they were in it for like a month. They made me do the pacer in my wheelchair.
Jail.
Jail. They made me play capture. Why would you schedule me for PE
Made you?
the first half of the year when you know I'm in a wheelchair?
You were healing from multiple injuries.
They made me play capture the flag, hid the flag in my wheelchair.
They were just asking for trouble for
and
a riot.
on my way to the field to play capture the flag, my wheel hit a rock on the path and I went flying this way down the grass
No.
hill. And people were like, well, at least you had your seatbelt on.
Shut up.
So you may ask, what was more
It's too
traumatic, the
much.
car accident or the way I was treated by the public school system?
Yeah, that's horrific.
We'll never know. But again, builds character. That's why I'm funny today. But yeah, so that was my childhood. I thought I was going to be an amazing soccer player, developed in other ways. I got into theater and choir in middle school, got into track in high school, was SGA president, talent show, whatever, host, aficionado, if you will.
Did you do morning announcements?
Absolutely.
How did I
morning
know?
announcements. I did morning announcements and I had a catchphrase started out of a dare.
Please.
I was obsessed with
Sure.
Missy Elliott and she goes, hey, what's happening? Hooty hoo. So I had a time where I would keep saying that all the time at lunch. And people were like, I dare you to go on the morning announcements and say it while you're doing the broadcast. And so I was like, I'm not scared of y'all. So I went and I said, hey. And then I did get scared. So I stopped and I was like, it's Foluké with the news. And I continued. I came out. I thought I was going to be in trouble. The theatrical news director was like, I love it. We do it every time now. And so that was my thing. Hey, it's Foluké with the weather or whatever. And so I continued. And people who knew me at that time continue to say that to me when they see me. They don't. I'm not famous. I don't go home. It's a scary place. Born to be a personality, I guess.
That was a dream I never went for. I wanted to do morning announcements so badly.
And a dream deferred. Look at you with a mic in your mouth.
I know. Hello.
Additionally, there was somebody on morning announcements called Shashwati Das. Shout out to you, Shashwati. And she got to be the last part of, like, our morning announcements kind of started like SNL where they, like, say your full name and they'd be like, and Shashwati Das. And literally everyone in the school, when it happened, would say it in unison. It was an amazing phenomenon. When she left, there was a fight for who got to have that last spot. And nobody ever did it the same.
I love Community.
I love Community, and I also am like, this is why I don't believe in the myth of I can't say your name. You had a school made up of about 80% European descent, and they loved them some Shashwati Das. Everybody in that school who attended that school during a certain time frame knows how to say my name. Because I was on the morning announcements. It was Mr. R. Shout out to you. Wow, I'm name dropping.
She is name dropping.
He did the voiceovers. He had a powerful voice, and I hope he continues to this day. He made it sound very important. He added gravitas, and that made it fun for everybody to tune in.
And that's how you lead young creatives.
That is how you lead young creatives. When I even think about Abbott Elementary, Quinta Brunson was encouraged to do and cover, to have the career she had, to cover academics because of a teacher she had in grade school. It takes one person to believe in you. It takes one person to embrace their role in the world to be a leader. And that doesn't have to be with 1 million followers and whatever. It means in a conversation with you or in the platform that they have, showing up with the audacity of authenticity to unlock whatever is in the heart of the folks watching, in the audience or in the room or on the phone call.
What she said. I just want a little bit of how you got to New York.
How did I get to New York? I was not even one of those people who was like, oh my gosh, I want to move to New York. It was like, I need a job, honey. What them benefits look like. And so I took my address off my resume. I applied to a bunch of jobs, got a job in New York, and moved shortly thereafter.
Good for you.
I've been here ever since. I started with not a lot of money in an apartment in Harlem, so I ate a lot of pasta, and I stole butter from the cafeteria. A lot of butter noodles.
She did what she had to do to get by. I'm so proud of you. You've done really, really well for yourself. I gotta ask you the central question of the show. To be Fronk is to be bold. It's to be authentic. It's to be unapologetic. It's kind of a play on Frank. So like, let me be Frank. Foluké, what is something you'd like to be Fronk about?
I've thought about this.
Thank you.
I just have so many things.
Say whatever feels right. I trust you.
Well, one, I'm surprised you glossed over the page program.
I just figured you didn't want to talk about it.
I think it's how I get clout. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see. Yeah, that's what I came to New York for. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I was like, if I don't figure out what I want to do in this program, at least I'll have 1,000 great stories to tell at a dinner party.
Totally.
I think the best part of the program outside of it is just seeing where everybody lands and what they're up to.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting because it's always this eclectic group of really ambitious, go-gettery type folks from all different walks of life. My dream was to be in the NBC page program, but my GPA wasn't high enough because it was 3.4 and I was like 3.2. And I was so devastated. And the whole application process is like, don't even bother applying if you're so stupid and under 3.4. And I was like, I was so hurt because I was like, how dare you put me in a box with GPA? I have so much to bring to the table. I think I would have been a star, but
you would have been.
We could have met.
I would long to be Fronk about living. We are not meant to apologize for living. In fact, you should not apologize for living. I believe that our life's purpose is to get closer to who we came into this world to be, and that is exactly who we were when we came, and that the journey of life is the art and practice of preserving that light. Other people, when they cannot come for your light, they will feel as though you are threatening their darkness. And so when they cannot stop you, they will belittle you, and they will go out of your way to ensure that you do not have access to your destiny, but you have to keep going anyways.
1,000%. Okay, sermon.
Was that a sermon? Hallelujah.
That was beautifully said.
Pass the collection plate.
Yeah, do not apologize for living. That's like kind of your life mantra, is it not?
It is my life mantra. It came by way of a human vessel, if you will. I was like on a street corner a couple years into college, and this guy who was, visibly down on his luck, dare I say houseless, came up to me and asked for money when I was coming back from lunch. And I had gone to have lunch with a friend, and I didn't bring my wallet. It was like my dad's friend. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I would, but I don't have, and blah, 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 blah. And he was like, don't apologize for living. And though he did not have a lot of money, let me tell you, he had a wealth of wisdom that day. Clearly. I stayed on that street corner for, I would say about 30 minutes chatting with him about the burden of living and how there is nothing for us to prove. And he was really the first person who had given me permission after having a near-death experience, after growing up feeling as though I wasn't wanted in my home, to just be. There was nothing I had to prove. There was no accomplishment I had to reach. That existing was enough, and I didn't need to fit into tight spaces that were not meant for me and allow that discomfort to be the source of my identity or my turmoil.
That 30-minute interaction literally changed your life.
Truly.
That's incredible. I never saw
that man again. I hope I do.
Life is so mysterious and wonderful. It's amazing how we're meant to meet people at little moments of time. Some stay for many chapters, some are in a brief instant, but you will think about that man for the rest of your life.
I think about him every day.
Wow.
I
wonder if he was an angel.
You're like, I wonder if he was really with us. Is he in the room with us now?
No, I totally believe that you saw this man, interacted with him. I'm not trying to gaslight you or anything like that. But it really makes you think like he was God sent. You needed to hear that. You were meant to hear that. And it changed the trajectory of your life. It helped you heal. It helped you evolve. And I don't want to say cling to those words, but you've made them your own. And you've really embodied the message. Do not apologize for living. It's so evident in the way you live your life and the way you show up and the way you present yourself. You are unapologetically living your most authentic, loving, full humanitarian life. And more people need to be like that.
I would like to think so. I think that looks different every day.
Totally.
And that's why it is a mantra, right? It's something that I affirm to know, you know, like everybody says, I am enough. But also to take it to the next level is I'm not afraid to be seen trying.
Right.
Perfection is not the goal. Progress is the goal.
There's no shame in trying. There's no shame in putting yourself out there. The shame is giving up.
100%. There was definitely a time in my life, and sometimes on a bad day, I was like, if I don't make the right choice right now, the rest of my life is going to go down the drain.
I remember those days.
And in fact, I've actually already made so many wrong choices that now I just need to sit and wait for death's door and realize that it gets greater later. The best is yet to come, and I still have agency. In fact, I don't need to disparage those times in my life. I need to build from them. I need to embrace them as a part of my full story and know that every version of me was worthy of love. And by loving myself now, I am honoring the memory of who they were and who I continue to be.
I'm about to go full red table talk over here.
Bring it, Jada. Willow is an icon. That's
She really
what we
is.
need to be frank about.
I want her to come out with more music.
I think life is also about experience, not age. And I'm big on that. I clearly look like I'm 12 and people dismiss
You do
me
not
in
look
a
like
lot
you're
of
12.
Really? Thank you so much.
No, you don't. But I get what
Is it
you're
giving
saying.
14 today?
No, I would say young 20s.
I'll take it. I'll be looking 24 at least for the next 50 years.
I believe it. And praise
Watch
God.
out, world. There's a story about Willow that always stands out to me, which is she had this wildly successful bop, which was I whip my hair back and forth, and she went on tour with
We
it.
all heard it.
Her father was like, we got to really capitalize on this, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, let's put more tour dates on. She goes, no, I do not want to. We're going to stop this. And he said, no, we're going to continue because you're, again, achieving success in the eyes of capitalism and monetization. People want you to do this. I want you to do this. And she went upstairs and cut off all her hair. She said,
I love her.
I said what
No.
I said.
She did. She is Jada's daughter through and through.
And I'm sure she wasn't even legal enough to drink at that time.
No,
But
she was like 10 or
was
11.
so self-assured. And in that way, even though I don't know her, through that story, it mentored me, right?
I love that. Thank you, Willow,
Thank you, Willow.
for the bops and the mentorship.
Thank you, Willow, for not wilting.
Oh my God, beautiful. The willow that never wilted.
Also, that video that went viral the other day of her and Halle Bailey, like front row at a fashion week somewhere around the world, just dancing to a Beyonce. It's like, come on, black girl joy,
We love to see it.
with exceptional status, grace, bliss. I can't tell you how many times I watched that video. It has nothing to do with me. I'm not even old enough to be their aunties. I said, come on, niece. Come on, niece says.
So no big deal, but you and your dad recently attended the Bob Marley premiere in LA. Lloyd G is an icon. He has a whole persona online that you have helped showcase, cultivate, etc. Tell me about, in my opinion, one of the best partnerships I've ever seen.
Okay. Thank you. I'll pass the word along. Lloyd G, and the G is for George. I was going to say something
Cute.
clever. I was going to be like, and the G, you think it's for Gem. Some may think it's for Gangster. It's for George.
Okay.
It always makes me giggle that my father has this like deeply British colonized name with children called like Foluké. And I won't say my brother's name.
He said, we're going to take the power back with these children.
Oh, he had no say in it. It was my mother who named me.
Fluké makes a lot of fun videos with her father. He has a persona bigger than life.
All right, what are you wearing?
I'm just wearing Anderson. That's all I'm wearing, Anderson tonight.
I definitely see where you get your infectious, joyful spirit from. You two are twin souls in a way. But your dad is so fun online. He's so goofy and just like silly. And you both were recently invited to the Bob Marley premiere, which I think was one of the best partnerships I've ever seen. Truly.
Wow.
The content was phenomenal. Please go to Foluké's profiles and watch their interviews.
How are you, Mr. Lewis?
I'm good enough.
You good?
Yeah, glad to hear somebody from home, you know.
Rastafari. Yeah, man.
But tell me, how did that partnership come to be? What was that like?
Yeah.
Give us the scoop.
Well, thank you so much for those very kind words. We take it, and Lloyd G will appreciate it, for he is a Leo.
I hope he watches this.
I don't know if he knows how to, but I'll keep him informed, which is honestly part of what gets us the good content. He usually has no reference point for what I'm asking him to do, and so it's not often contrived. I'm just like,
Of course not.
fun fact, actually, he was also part of Tyler Perry's journey and how he came to this country and got big, but that's a story for another day. Maybe he'll be a guest on your podcast.
I'm going to book you both. That would be
fun.
good.
That would
yeah.
be fun. So yeah, my father, like probably many other elders, my dad is a 68-year-old accountant who's based in the DC area for this red carpet, or it was technically a black carpet. I think it was the first time in Hollywood, and he like met Stevie Wonder in his first red carpet correspondent role.
Incredible.
And I just really want to remind him that it gets greater later. I would love to say I knew that was going to happen when we started recording videos. It was certainly a pipe dream, and how I motivated. I was like, Daddy, yeah, this is going to go viral one day, and then I'm going to get you all these partnerships. But really, it was born out of wanting to bond with my dad. He's such a personality. He's such a character, and I think the pandemic really got him down. It was a tough time where a lot of his friends were passing. He was in isolation as an extrovert. He was getting older. He aged significantly and also was experiencing health issues. And I could start to see his light, that has been innate to him and something that has fueled communities and young people's careers, and his life diminishing. Made me super sad. It actually broke my heart because I thought he really was an unbreakable man. And so I just started doing these videos to, I don't know if cheer him up or have something to talk about that wasn't who was passing away, what's going on with the family, or how's work.
You brought some levity into the relationship. Not that there wasn't any before, but
it was different. And I did talk about how when I was younger, I was able to bond with my dad over soccer, and me being very, very good at soccer, dare I say, and it in some ways fractured our relationship. When I wasn't playing soccer, we didn't know what to talk about, or when I wasn't as good at soccer, it was like, whoa,
this was our thing, and now we don't have it.
And I don't think we talk enough about the grief of losing part of your identity, whether you were an athlete and you stopped playing in college or after the fact. Like, it's a huge part of how you come to be. Or I know that some people are very attached to their jobs. And when you leave a job, what does that mean for who you are and the reckoning that you have within yourself for how you show up in the world and how you relate to those relationships, and what is revealed about your relationships when you're no longer in those places and spaces that you used to occupy? Which is why it's so important to, I try and be a very value-based person. I try to be very value-based in my identity. And
it shows.
Thank you. And figure out, how do I align who I am with those things, and then allow the other things to just be accessories to that existence. So Daddy's a personality. He's like the middle child of 14 as well. Like, I would love to take credit that I cultivated this personality. I'm the only reason he's going to become a grand influencer or golden influencer. But I promise you, the amount of times I actually pick up the phone in time to capture the chaos and the greatness that is Lloyd G is so few and far between. So I hope it continues to grow, not necessarily for everybody else's benefit, which is actually so insane. That the messages I get from people, I will put up what I think is the silliest video, barely any editing. With videos I put up, I try not to put too much into it because I want to also allow them to have like an ephemeral beauty about them. I don't want to be so focused on the outcome or it's the joy of putting it together that I want to focus on. But I will say, it's always, I like to describe content that you put online as like that little boat that goes down in the Prince of Egypt. Like, you have no idea where it's going to end up. It might be the prince.
So true.
It might like hit a rock, and you just don't know. And
you might be back on your mother's teat.
I haven't heard teat in a while. Good use.
Thank you. Y'all know the Bible? I do.
But I just finished watching Living with Yourself with Paul Rudd on Netflix. He drinks so much breast milk. Anyways, so
we're not shaming breast milk.
Not shaming.
It's beautiful to feed your children.
Absolutely. That's something we should be frank about.
Shout out to my sister.
We don't need to sexualize women's bodies. It is every time I see a nipple outside that is not attached to somebody who is woman identifying. I just go, man, I don't want to take away your freedom, but I want to know it.
Imagine.
Although even if I had that freedom, I wouldn't be around. My breasts are nothing really to look at. Though I do have similar nipples to my mother, and that's made me really proud.
Beautiful.
I only recognize that through Naked
and Afraid.
No, the one on Max.
Naked Attraction.
Naked Attraction. When I really got to study the human body, I was like, oh, not everybody's nipples look the same.
Yeah, that is an amazing scientific experiment on human anatomy and the range of it. Like, I'm blown away by how different everyone's body looks and how many shades, shapes, sizes, like textures, all of the above. Like, the human body knows no bounds. You can actually look like anything.
And it should be celebrated.
No,
It
I
should be-
celebrate it.
Honestly, the differences in my body from today, like 5 years ago, I'm working on celebrating that as well as other people's body and not sexualizing it.
Yeah.
But anyways, now that I've talked about
Anyways.
nipples, back to my dad.
Wow. Yeah. So Paramount calls.
Well, I will say this. I will put up the silliest video and get the most heartwarming comments. People will be like, I love your
Good.
relationship with your dad. I wish I had it with mine. I wish he was more emotionally present.
Aw.
People will DM me and be like, I just want to let you know that I lost my dad X amount of years ago. And seeing you, I really hope you cherish this with your dad. And thank you for sharing him with us. Like, again,
That's beautiful.
so I love social media because it touches,
yeah.
it really does cultivate connection.
It's a unifier if used in the appropriate, good intentioned ways.
Yes. It is so tempting to use it as a vanity project, but
Of
it can really be
course.
an amplifier for so much good. It can
Absolutely.
democratize our society. It can connect people. It can galvanize. Like,
Yeah.
I love it. Honestly, I've had some deep belly laughs. Anyways,
Same.
so
And I will just say, as a consumer and a friend and a viewer of the stuff you put out, of the wonderful videos you put out, it is never like, especially when you post videos of your dad, I have never once thought like this is contrived. They did 20 takes on this. Like, it's so evident he just has a silly, fun, goofy spirit, and you're just there to capture the chaos, as you say. And then you have all these like beautiful relics, like digital relics of your time together. You get to have that for the rest of your life. And I'm so happy you get these experiences and times to bond with your dad. I'm so sorry, did I?
not tears on your first episode.
Okay, I'm Oprah. I'm bringing out the emotion.
Well,
You want a tissue, friend?
I think also you just reminded me that I started recording because I realized that my parents were aging. Yeah. And during the pandemic, I had an instance with my dad where I really did think I was going to lose him.
I'm so sorry.
And it made me think about mortality.
Yeah.
And it's so easy, to, like I said, to revert back to that angsty teenager with your parents and have an attitude or not pick up the phone. And I just want to cherish this time with him.
Absolutely.
I want to capture it. I want to be there for it. Now, that doesn't mean that we ain't still working on these damn boundaries, child, because
The boundaries will always be worked on.
codependency is real, but
Okay, friend.
sorry.
No, it's okay.
Woo!
This is beautiful. You obviously love your dad so much. He means a lot to
I
you.
ride for him.
I'm glad you have each other. I really am.
ride for him, and I would say it was one of the scariest moments of my entire life.
I'm so
Was
sorry you
when
had
I
to go
thought I
through
was
that.
going to lose him.
I'm glad you didn't. I'm so sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah. So it's just so. And then I was like, oh, this is good content. Let me put this out there. Let me monetize it. You know, I'm a creator strategist by day, and I can really make this happen. And I actually love producing content. I'm not that keen on being in front of the camera. I would love to have just like put out one video, and then everyone's like, not the point, but you're just so cute. Or like,
You
oh
are.
my gosh, like, yes, but that didn't happen. I was like, oh, not me having to work at this content. I just wanted to show up, be cute, and y'all follow me. But then I started putting videos up of my dad, and it takes
It
off.
took off. It did.
It takes off. I may not have a lot of followers, but let me tell you, honey, this man goes the distance.
He has a community online.
He has a community. And so the right person saw the content, and literally we were just chatting, and they're like, oh, what are your plans for the holidays? I hope you're going to go see your dad. I said, actually, I'm traveling. She's like, I love your content with your dad, da 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 da. I said, look, child, if you know anyone who's going to that Bob Marley premiere, I said it jokingly irreverent, you know, shooting my shot like a la Keke Palmer,
I'm so proud of you.
but didn't actually, like, she isn't even connected to it.
Right, right.
She just randomly was like, I actually do know somebody that works at Paramount.
Wild.
Sent our videos to the person at Paramount, and they said, we would like to invite them to the premiere of the Bob Marley movie in LA. We would like them to make content for us. And then eventually said, we want them to be our red carpet correspondent for Paramount Digital.
That's incredible.
When I tell you this man laughed, cried, danced, my dad grew up playing soccer with Bob Marley in Trenchtown.
Wow.
He grew
Wow,
up
wow, wow,
at
wow.
that time where the movie takes place. I know Jamaica has an influence on the globe, but we often
1,000%.
forget that the island is small.
Mm-hmm.
The saying is, we little but we talawa. We are little but we talawa. What Bob Marley did is incredible.
Yeah.
What Usain Bolt does is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
What Shirley Ann Fraser does is incredible. What entrepreneurs and creators and athletes and cooks and politicians, Marcus Garvey, Shirley Chisholm,
Okay.
we little but we talawa.
I'm sorry, this just in. Foluké has actually been nominated as Miss Jamaica 2024.
Thank you. Shirley Ann Fraser, not Shirley Ann Fraser, Cheryl Lee Ralph.
Yes.
My pride,
Mm-hmm.
if it wasn't already there, floweth over when I tell you we're on the carpet and I see, yes, there's Kingsley on the carpet. Kelly Rowland was there, child. But to see these actors from all over the diaspora playing these roles, codifying it in history in this biopic,
Yeah.
touched my soul. The amount of people who stopped on the carpet, heard my dad's accent, and said, I'm just so happy to hear somebody from the island. People were so kind to him. And look, the man, he do a lot. Don't get me wrong, he does a lot. So when I posted the content, a lot of people would say, hey, thanks for doing this, da-da-da. And I said, thank you for being so kind to my father. This man went to the after party. He was in a mosh pit. Like, people were embraced him so much. And they said, that's Pop Pop. His generation did so much. I feel respect him.
That's beautiful.
So it is such a privilege to be a part of that community.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a privilege to validate my dad's experience on earth.
Absolutely.
When he feels little, when he feels small, when he came to this country as an immigrant, was a black man in corporate America. When life didn't always pan out the way that he wanted it to for him.
Yeah.
I'm here now as a conduit to the experiences that he can have, which is a reflection of the greatness that he has given on earth.
Wow.
I used to joke with my dad, Daddy, when
Yeah.
we put this video up, we gonna get these partnerships.
You spoke it into
We
existence.
don't get these partnerships, dog. And for any creators who are getting started again, I don't have a lot of followers.
Mm-hmm.
I was about the content and the craft and the purpose of bringing joy and levity, and like I say, I joy journal.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I use social media for. And when I presented myself, which luckily I had somebody to advocate for me, I had somebody who was allowing me access to even get into the room to be considered. But then I sold myself by picking out the engagement metrics that would show success. That often, and I am a creative strategist, it is about the work and what you put out there and who you know.
Yes.
We can put paid dollars behind what you have. We can set you up with a distribution channel. If you have good work, people will see it. Focus on quality and focus on what your values are. My value was time with my dad. So it doesn't matter if you like this or you share it. I enjoyed making this with my father. My video with my family from Thanksgiving, who's the best cook? I only made that to send them a look. If I could redo that video, I would have edited it better. I would have made it so I would have.
You were on a deadline. You were on a deadline.
Honestly, I just did it to make people laugh. Because how many times you get together as family, time has passed, the matriarch or the patriarch has passed away. People don't know how to connect to each other, or you just feel like odd tension. I just wanted something fun for us all to laugh at, and people who couldn't be in attendance to also feel like they were there.
It's about the moment, not producing a memory with your family.
Shoot, with my family, I can't even produce them people.
They seem like they have all big personalities in life of their own.
I'm the quiet one in the family.
That's insane.
Yeah.
To think about.
They've recently started calling me Lickaloid. Because I think as I've gotten older, I've gotten more confident. I've started to resemble my dad. And I've started to understand that the way he shows up in the world is a choice. Mm-hmm. Life was not always easy for him. It doesn't continue to be easy for him. In fact, well, his story is his to tell, and he'll tell it one day.
Yeah.
But I will say this, that the resilience and compassion that he shows for himself has inspired me to want to show up greater in the world.
Wow. I can only imagine how proud and how flattered he would be to hear that. And he'll hear this. I'm so moved by the love you have for your father and the relationship that you two share. And
Don't tell him. Don't tell
He
him.
knows. He knows. So is it safe to say Lloyd G had the Tia Vizel at the Bob Marley premiere?
Tia Vizel at the time
Tia
of his
Vizel.
life.
He really did.
He's been talking about it ever since. There's not a person that has interacted with this man that doesn't know about it. He then also held a screening in DC where he put pictures of us up on the screen before the movie started.
That's
He
hilarious.
still has his press pass in his car. When this is filmed, it is April. We went in February. It's been hanging. I'm like, is this even legal? Do you have visibility? Like, it's a big press pass.
LMAO. This was one of the greatest moments of his life, it sounds.
Allegedly, I would say so.
Definitely
And
in his, I don't want to
I-
bad the senior years, but like,
no, I want to big up the senior years. There shouldn't be a moment that you're waiting. There's not
Yeah,
a moment
no.
where life stops
No.
happening. Every day is a gift, right?
he's a living, breathing proof of that. Like you said, like it's a choice for him to show up joyfully and authentic and display his own personal values despite what his surroundings and environments and circumstances have done to him.
the way his circumstances have pressured him, but
Yeah.
he did not allow the pressure to break him.
No, I have so much admiration for him. I've never met him. Lloyd G, I really hope to meet you one day, but he sounds like an absolute icon, and I'm wishing him health, wealth, and success and more partnerships.
Yeah, let's get him some Father's Day deals.
Honestly.
Let's get him to travel the globe. Let's get him to the Olympics, the
hey,
World Cup.
Challenge, put another one out there. What type of partnership do you want to see your dad do next?
Ooh.
Come on, manifestation. You already hold that power, clearly.
I don't know when this is going to come out, but
Soon enough.
my dad is a very spiffy dresser.
Okay.
So I could see him doing something in the world of apparel.
Love.
I value experiences. I would love to see him be a correspondent at the World Cup
Ooh.
or at the Olympics.
Yes.
And I also
That would be incredible.
he cares so much about children.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I find that social media is a tool for a lot of people to not only empower themselves, but then to translate that into empowerment for their community.
Mm-hmm.
My father sees that potential in sports. So not only did he come to this country via a sports scholarship, he's then been a soccer coach for many years.
Wow.
For many children, whether they had a ride or not, had the soccer boots or not, had a dad in the household or not, he was doing it all. Sometimes I was like, Daddy, this car smell like sweat and some other stuff.
Eee.
How come
Ooh.
how come it takes us 3 hours to get home after practice? Because we got to drive to
Oh.
2 different counties and 5 different cities to drop off all
Lord.
these kids. And my dad has helped kids get to college.
That's incredible.
He coaches. He shows up at people's house. So, what partnership would make sense is one that gives back.
Absolutely.
As these corporations and brands try to find their way into the social impact conversation, they should hit up Lloyd G.
So, corporations and brands, if you're listening to this and Let Me Be Fronk comes across your desk, please reach out to my friend Foluké.
At Foluké Fiasco. Dear capitalism, I hope this finds you well. please reach out at your earliest convenience.
Signed,
Signed, Foluké.
Foluké. Okay, I love
At
that.
Foluké Fiasco.
Here's some more
on
partnerships.
all platforms, including Venmo.
I also want to say, your dad is village. Your dad is part of the village.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful.
And he has an amazing village.
I believe it.
Like, I remember one day we went to like my dad, we didn't grow up with him in the house. I saw him every other weekend, and now of course we're super close. I see him all the time. Sometimes more than. But
No offense.
he like I remember showing up well, first of all, he would always be like, I'm gonna drive for your birthday, right? And he lived like 45 minutes away from me when I was growing up, and he is perpetually late, and I don't like to be late to school. It's like a big thing. Like, I was an overachiever. I'm an
Yeah.
academic
Hello.
sir.
You had all those extracurriculars. You had the morning announcements. You had things to do.
Yeah. And I remember
You are a business
I'm
bench.
a business, comma, man. And so he showed up, and I was going to be late for school, and I was so frustrated. But in hindsight, I'm like, this man, like, came with... And also, my dad was not allowed in my house growing up. Just always outside. I won't get into it. But, so he brings flowers and blah, 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 and all these other things. And I go to school, and I'm like, the VP is by the door, ready to reprimand me. And I go, hey, Mr. Saunders, I know I'm late. Like, I'm fully ready to get my licks or whatever. It's my birthday, and my dad has this thing where he wants to, like, see me on my birthday. So he drove, and he was late, and blah, blah, blah. And Mr. Saunders was touched. It just was like, go to class. And Mr. Saunders knew a lot more in life at that moment than I did. And I look back at those little things my dad did to ensure that he was around growing up, and now as we spend more time together. And that also then was connected to the people he knew that I call aunts and uncles and all this stuff. And I turned to him as I got older and I just said, thank you for the village. Not just him, but literally all these people who had my back in the church. So many people he literally grew up with as a kid live around us in PG County and would go to hell and back for us. And in fact have in many occasions.
Wow. That's a good testament to the good person your dad is.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing. Good fathers are truly a gift. They're a dime a dollar. Like, you know what I mean?
And I know your father has passed.
Yeah.
But people often tell you that you are a reflection of the goodness in him. How does that make you feel?
It feels like an honor because I've only really ever heard amazing, wonderful things about my dad. My dad passed when I was 1.5 from a heart attack. And, you know, the circle of people who knew him is dwindling. And, like, unfortunately, people are starting to die off. But anytime I'm in Western New York where he was from and we run into, like, friends or a distant relative, like they talk incessantly about him. They're like, you don't understand, he was the best guy ever, like yada yada yada. I've only ever heard amazing, wonderful things about my dad, and obviously like people aren't going to speak super negatively of the dead, but it, like, at one point it almost felt overboard. I was like, was my dad like really this awesome and great? But like he was that guy. Like, he was beloved. He had amazing community. Everyone loved him, and his death was a tragedy. It really was. He was only 40 years old. He had so much more life to live. And so anytime people say I'm like him, or I kind of like picked up traits of his or whatever, it feels like such an honor. And it helps me feel connected to him because I don't have memories that I remember with him. And that's been hard to grapple with and accept as I've grown up, because I would have loved for my dad to live and have a relationship with him. And I often feel like robbed of a life I was supposed to have, or, you know, this unconditional love present in my life. I think it's still here. I think it's on the other side. I think he definitely looks out and watches over me, and he has protected me a lot over the years, undoubtedly. Back to your question, it feels like an incredible honor, because he had an amazing reputation and he was very loved. And I could only be so lucky if people loved and regarded me the same way. It's a great privilege to come from a good man, because not a lot of people can say that.
What's his name?
Jonathan Fronk.
Johnny F.
Jonathan, John for short.
So if you are being Fronk, how do you intend to keep the goodness of your father's legacy alive in the way that you move in your purpose?
I think I just tried to be a really good friend to people. He was an amazing friend to people. He was really good with his friendships. He was super loyal. He would give literally the shirt off his back, bend over backwards for people, whatever he could to help or support, he would do. So I take friendships and relationships very seriously. I put a lot of energy and I invest in them. I've always said relationships are by far the most valuable thing in my life, like especially my friendships. Like, friends really are your chosen family outside of family. One of the things I get told from time to time that I think is a huge compliment is that my grandparents have told me this, that I'm really level-headed like him, and I'm diplomatic, and I'm just able to keep a level head, and I like hear people out, and I bring a calmness at times. And I didn't really have that view of myself, honestly, until they told me that. And I was like, wow, like, you really think that of me? And they're like, oh yeah, you have this disposition, like you're just like him, like head securely on your shoulders, like you're kind of unflappable, you're just you go with things. So I hope to continue that, because I think it is really important to have people like that to balance out family dynamics, you know, all the array and all the different types of personalities we are exposed to in the world. Just having people who can sit with you and accept you as you are and find the good and love you and not try to project their own weird things on you. I try to be like that, because I get the sense that's what he was like. He just loved people as they were and tried to be there for them. I have some ideas on ways I want to continue to honor my dad as I grow older. I have a creative project that I hope to one day carry out in his name and in his honor. I won't share now, but I've always like tried to stay connected to him, and it's not until my adulthood that I realized like I need to try to stay connected to this man, even though I don't really know him and I don't have this like personal relationship to go off of, but he was still a huge part of my life. Like I'm alive because of him. I'm at least half of him. You know what I mean? So
Ooh.
I hope I carry on those good things. You know, we both really like cherry pie. That's something I inherited from him. Random.
Is that a euphemism?
No.
Okay.
No, he was. My grandma used to tell me these stories that like he would mow people's lawns and instead of getting paid, he'd want a cherry pie and they would bake him a cherry pie. And I was like, I am
That's
a freak.
commitment to.
He was a freak for cherry pie, and so are me and my sister. We love
Really?
cherry pie. Yes. And yeah, but shout out John. But thank you for sharing about your father. I'm a big fan, Lloyd G. Foluké, again, thank you so much for coming on and being my first guest. We really went there and we felt all the different arrays of emotion, and thank you for being vulnerable and opening up and sharing about your life. If the people want to connect with you after this pod show, where can they find you?
You can find me at Foluké Fiasco, Foluke Fiasco, on all platforms, including Venmo.
Just leave it all to me. I'm gonna show you what it's all about.
And
I'm open to speaking engagements.
And she's an incredible speaker. If you could not tell, she's a great follow. I highly recommend checking her out on TikTok, Instagram. She gives fabulous travel tips aside from her fun family content. And she's a good dancer. She's a really good dancer.
I'm
You'll
all right.
see.
I
She's a
think
good
everybody's
dancer.
a good dancer. My thing is, if they can turn a sneeze into a dab, then what standard do we hold for dancing? You
And
know
I
what I mean?
quote, if you can turn a sneeze into a dab. That was
Anything is possible. Just dance.
God,
just live. Enjoy yourself.
don't
apologize for it.
living. Let's say it at the same time.
And don't
And
Don't
don't apologize for
living.
living. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. This is Let Me Be Fronk. We drop new episodes every Wednesday. You can find us on YouTube or podcast. And I'll see you next time. Bye. Yay.
Yay!